Hey everyone, welcome to the Unofficial Zoo. My name is Zach, and today I'm going to show you my Pure Redline Crystal Red Shrimp Tank. I love this tank. It is probably my favorite shrimp tank that I've ever had. It's doing really well with babies. I just did a top off with deionized water, so they're out and about exploring, munching all the detritus that got kind of knocked around in the water. It is not the most beautiful tank. I'm not a good aquascaper. I wish I was, and I wish I could produce these beautiful, gorgeous aquatic settings, but I just can't. So I just have a lot of fun breeding the shrimp, and if they're happy and breeding and there's tons of them and the babies are thriving, I'm happy. So let's go take a look at that, and I'm excited for everyone to see it. All right, so this is my Pure Redline Crystal Red Shrimp Tank. It's a 20-gallon long. It's been set up for almost a year, and I love this tank so much. It's not the most beautiful tank. There's algae all over the place growing all up in what used to be my plants, but the shrimp absolutely love it. And you can see there are tons of them. If we take a closer look, this tank is just riddled with shrimp. And there are a lot out right now because I did just do a top off, and they always love to come out with the top off, I think because it pushes detritus into the water column. But this tank is doing really well, and I'm so proud of this tank. So this started with, initially it was 10 shrimp. I ended up getting 10 more, so 20. Now we're in the hundreds. I've actually pulled out the best of this tank to start a new higher grade Pure Redline tank, but I just love it. You can see there's, a lot of algae growing on the glass. A lot of people hate algae, and it's definitely unsightly. It's not the most beautiful. But I'm okay with it because my shrimp really love it. And I never really had a great eye for aquascaping. Sure, I could put a tank together that looks decent, but it was never really my thing. My thing has always been breeding the shrimp, picking out the colors, and just having fun with the shrimp more than the plants and the design of the tank. So if my shrimp are happy, I'm happy. And I mean, look at this. There's tons. This tank is riddled with shrimp. So I'm very happy with this tank and how it's going. Yeah, there's even a suction cup that I left in there for an airline hose. And if we take a step back, it's a pretty simple tank. What we have at the bottom here is fluvial shrimp stratum as a substrate. Again, this is about a year old. It's doing pretty well. I don't do water changes. We can talk about that later, but I don't do water changes. So this substrate buffers my water to about 5.3 pH, which is pretty low, but again, they're doing well. So they're happy, I'm happy. As for filtration, we have just the sponge filter and lots of plants. There's some Sawasu here. There is some crystal wort and something else up here that I can't really tell because of all of the hair algae. And then again, lots of algae everywhere. Including even just up on the surface of the tank up here, just lots of algae. As for decorations, I used to have driftwood in this tank. It made it really hard to use a net, so I pulled the driftwood out. Instead, I have filled it with Indian almond leaves, which are both actually the big leaves and the smaller leaves. I kind of wanted to try out both. My shrimp definitely seem to prefer the bigger Indian almond leaves, so going forward, I'm gonna stick with those. But, little leaves, they don't mind them. It's still somewhere to cover. I think honestly, the babies probably hide out a lot in there. Over here, this is some cinnamon. I actually just bought cinnamon sticks at Costco and then boiled them, and they kind of unraveled and flattened out nicely. I did have a couple deaths after I added the cinnamon, so I pulled some of it out. I'm not sure if it was just coincidental timing, because it did look like the couple deaths were molting issues, or if it was actually the cinnamon bark. So don't use too much, be careful with it, be cautious with it, keep an eye on your shrimp, make sure that they're doing all right. But overall, I'm really happy with this tank. If we take a look at the lighting, this is just, and sorry for the dead plant on top, but this is just a Night Crew LED light that I got off of Amazon. It works pretty well. Honestly, it's probably a little bit overpowered for a 20 long. I have almost the exact same light model on my 40 breeders, and they seem to be doing well, and it seems to be lighting them adequately. So, the overpowered light is part of the algae problem. But again, shrimp love it, I love it, all good. I keep the temperature in this tank. Let's see, it's right about 70 degrees, which is actually a little bit low. I like to try to keep my tanks at 72, but we do what we can. I don't like to run heaters. I like to try to keep the whole fish room ambient temperature. It's a little bit hard in this specific room just because of how the ceiling is, but I do my best. I do have heaters in a couple tanks though, if I really want to try to accelerate breeding. Yeah, just look at all of these shrimp. Let's see if we can find one of the babies. Well, here's some younger ones. Sorry, there's a little bit of algae, so it's hard to see. I just scrubbed the glass, but I try not to get too close to the substrate. Oh, I don't know if you can see right there, that little tiny thing. Right here is a baby. It's not a high quality baby. Looks like an A grade, so I'll probably call that one out. I don't kill my cold shrimp, I just remove them from the tank and put them elsewhere. But yeah, love, love, love this tank. So many shrimp, always something to look at. Lots of babies. All right, so let's talk a little bit of shop about how I maintain my pure redline crystal red shrimp tank. So I think I talked to you about the substrate, which is fluval shrimp stratum. Keeps my pH around 5.3, which again, my shrimp are doing well, so they clearly are fine with that. I don't do water changes, which is why the pH stays so low. I just do top offs. I might do a water change once every 3 to 6 months, but really, as long as the shrimp are breeding, why mess with something that's working? For my light, I showed you the Night Crew LED. I got that off of Amazon. It was like 40 bucks. It's a little bit overpowered for the 20 long, which is why I've had problems with hair algae, but it gets the job done, and it was cheap and just easy to set up. For food, so I feed a lot of this Bacter AE. It's backwards, but it's a Glass Garden product. It's a powder. It helps biofilm grow. It's especially helpful for babies. Disperses all over the tank. I also feed these fluval shrimp granules a lot because they are small little granules. They're not powder, but they're small. So I just sprinkle them on top of the water and they kind of disperse all over the tank. Makes it so, you know, even with a few hundred shrimp, everyone can get a bite. Not everyone's fighting over 1 or 2 pellets. And then I also feed this spirulina powder. This is honestly just like food powder for like smoothies that I bought off of Amazon as well. It is a very fine green powder. It is a little bit messy. You can't really see it, but it is a little bit messy. But it's super fine, so it also goes all over the tank. It leaves like a little bit of green dust just on every surface. Again, something for the shrimp to graze on that they really do well with. There are a couple other foods. I'll make a food video at some point, but that's kind of basically what I feed them. And then as for decorations, I don't have a lot. I have a lot of hair algae because I don't take care of it and I don't maintain the hair algae problem. I have some Wasser tang. I have some, what else? I have crystal wort. If you're not going to do water changes, or you're going to do water changes infrequently, it is very important to keep your tank planted just to help pull out those nitrates that would otherwise build up. As for decorations, I don't have driftwood because it made it hard to net out the shrimp and I just have too many shrimp for that. So instead I have a lot of Indian almond leaves because they grow a lot of biofilm, they decay, and the shrimp will eat them as they decay, and they provide a lot of really good cover for females who are molting and who are, my breeding stock. And then I also use cinnamon, honestly, that I just bought at Costco, boiled it down for 20 minutes, and then dropped it in the tank. They seem to really, they don't really like it, it's just kind of something else for them to graze on. A little bit more variety. So that's my pure redline crystal red shrimp tank. I hope you liked it. I know it's not as pretty as other people's tanks. It's not as well kept. But at the end of the day, if the shrimp are happy and they're breeding and the offspring are thriving and they're growing up, then I am happy. So I am over the moon with this tank. I love this tank. So much fun to look at. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like, maybe a subscribe if you want to see future videos. I actually have a new shipment of shrimp coming in tomorrow with a bunch of new Caridina varieties. I have some fancy tigers. I have some pinto varieties coming in. I have more pure red line, higher purebred line, all imported from Taiwan that I'm hoping to start colonies of. So tune in for that when that video is up, and thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Bye.